Oh, greetings and welcome back, one and all. Robert Craig, just an old man reading from his Bible. I'm the old man, and this right here is the Bible, the Holy Bible. That's the one I use, King James Version. Now, last time we had come to, I believe it was verse 31, Acts chapter 9. Peter had returned. That part of Acts chapter 9 had covered a period of about 3 years, because from the time he was on the road to Damascus and had his conversion, it was 3 years before he could return to Jerusalem. And we may take a look at that at another point. But when he returned to Jerusalem, he got a course correction. The Lord appeared to him in a vision, told him people there wouldn't receive his testimony concerning him. So the disciples sent him away, and in verse 31 it said, "Then had the churches rest throughout all Judea and Galilee and Samaria," which indicates that there was some unrest prior to that, to him being sent away. Now, we've been kind of tracking the path of several different groups here. We've got the disciples who left right after the martyrdom of Stephen. They left, everybody left except the apostles. So we know that Peter was staying in Jerusalem at that time. And when Peter comes back here after 3 years in chapter 9, Peter is still there. And at this point, Peter leaves Jerusalem for the first time after all this. Verse 32, "And it came to pass, as Peter passed throughout all quarters, he came down also to the saints which dwelt at Lydda. And there he found a certain man named Aeneas, which had kept his bed 8 years. Imagine being bedfast for 8 years and still hanging on. And was sick of the palsy." That's a neurological thing. There's not much you can do about that. It's kind of in the nervous system and tied to the brain. Verse 34, "And Peter said unto him, Aeneas, Jesus Christ maketh thee whole. Arise and make thy bed. And he arose immediately. And all that dwelt at Lydda and Saron saw him and turned to the Lord." See, that's the way we're going to find out. That's the way the mind of the Jew worked at that point in time. The Jews looked for a sign. Now, there was at Joppa, now this is a nearby city, this is verse 36, there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms deeds, which she did. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in an upper chamber. And forasmuch as Lydda was nigh to Joppa, the disciples had heard that Peter was there. Of course they heard. He'd healed a man. And the disciples had heard that Peter was there, and they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and all the widows stood by him weeping, and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. See, that indicates that she's departed, you see. But Peter put them all forth, and kneeled down and prayed, and turning him to the body, said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up. He gave her his hand, lifted her up. When he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive. And it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon, a tanner. I think we're going to kind of get an inkling that Simon not only runs a tanning business, but it's pretty large scale. He lives in beachfront property. I guess it'd be beach or cliffside or whatever. He's on the seashore, and that's kind of high dollar land real estate to have. Now in verse 10 we see over in Caesarea, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band. So he's a Roman soldier, over 100 men. Verse 2, a devout man and one that feared God with all his house. See, unlike most of the Roman soldiers, he'd come to know the heart of Israel and the God they worshipped, and knew about him and sought for him, but he had no connection because he was an outsider. Something had to be done, and it's like Peter has been moved on the chessboard so that he'll be in just the right place for what he needs to do to fulfill the call of the Lord and do the work. Verse 3, we saw that he feared God with all his house and gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always. So he was seeking after the God of Israel. Verse 3, he saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, that's about 3 p.m., an angel of God coming in to him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? He said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God. See, God had taken notice of his attitude and his actions toward the people. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. When the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. And when he had declared all these things unto them, he sent them to Joppa. On the morrow, as they went on their journey, they drew nigh unto the city. Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 9th hour. See, he was a house guest there. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance and saw heaven opened, and a certain vessel descending unto him. A vessel is something that contains something, by definition. A certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet, knit at the 4 corners and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I've never eaten anything that is common or unclean. So evidently they're, like I said, all manner of beasts, so I'm assuming that it was both unclean and clean to the Jews. after he answered, verse 15, and the voice spake unto him again the second time, what God hath cleansed, that call not thou common. Now, this would have been news to someone in the Jerusalem church, especially an apostle like Peter, who had already received his marching orders. But now it appears he's getting a course correction. He's being let in on something here that hadn't been known before, that God has made something clean that wasn't clean before. Verse 16, this was done thrice, and I take it to mean 2 more times. And the vessel was received up again into heaven. Well, if it was received up into heaven, it means it came down from heaven. So these beasts that he would have thought of as being, some of them being unclean, it came down from heaven, where only things that God approved of would be to start with. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. Now, while Peter doubted in himself what the vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate. You tell him, a southerner, I said inquiry instead of inquiry. Verse 18, and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, was lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise therefore, and get thee down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come? And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth God, and of good report among all the nation of the Jews, was warned by God by an holy angel to send for thee into his house, and to hear words of thee. Then called he them in, and lodged them. And on the morrow Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him. Brethren meaning disciples, people of like faith. Going by the time, I think this is a good place to stop, and we'll pick up and we'll cover the next event the next time around. And it's pretty plain where Peter is now. He's certainly not in Antioch having an argument or getting dressed down by Paul. But I think we're going to see as we go on, the window is going to narrow down until it can't be but just one time. For now, though, till next time, we'll just say, may the Lord bless this reading of His Holy Scripture. Hope you'll join me next time, and we'll continue on into this narrative. See you then.